Okay, so today we're just going to spend a couple of minutes going in and taking a look at how to create activities in ccmTrak and then how to schedule future activities. So we're just going to do this with one of the patients that's here on the screen that doesn't have any information. So mostly you'll be doing what you're doing starting on the patient list page. If you're on the dashboard, you can get here. There are some different options on the dashboard that you guys will probably see as you begin to use the system. Ultimately, though, you'll end up here, and it's from here that you'll either enter or schedule the activity. So we're going to use this patient here, and you can see here that there are currently no minutes recorded, and there are a couple of buttons out here to the right. The blue circle with the plus sign, it means that you can record a new activity. And then the red, that's a calendar embedded in that little icon right there with the plus, is for scheduling a new activity. And then you can see if we just look back up one for somebody who's already had some activities entered, that the activities that are already entered would show up here. And those icons can also be clicked on if you need to go in and update something that you've already entered. If you need to change time, if you need to, for some reason, change the activity that was done, whatever it may be. So we'll just go ahead and start here by clicking here to add a new activity for this person. So that is going to take me to this page right here, and let me just talk through each one of the specifics. The date is going to default to the current date. If for some reason you need to change that, you can. Here is a list of all the different activities. I assume that you guys will either already know which ones you're going to be using for various things, or that's something that's going to be part of your training as well. So you'll just go in here, first of all, and pick the activity that you're going to record. So let's just say, for example, that this was a chart review. So we'll click on chart review. When I click that, it's going to turn green, which means it's selected. And when that happens, there's a default that gets loaded in for the number of minutes that is normally would happen for that activity. So obviously, that's just the default. If that needs to be less or more, you can change that either by entering the minutes by hand right here in this field, or to make it easy for you so you don't have to type, you can just come over here and click along this bar and select any number of minutes that you want to. So if it's 15 minutes, if it was 7 minutes, whatever it may be, you can do that. The assumption is that what you guys will be entering will be billable. There is a section here for who performed the activity. So if you're entering things that you've performed, then from your login, your name would show up here by default. If for some reason you needed to change that, you can click here if you happen to be entering for some other, for someone else. But by default, this will show up with your name right here, so you shouldn't have to click and change that. Also, what gets loaded by default is if there is a default pre-written message or pre-written note for this activity, then it's going to show up right here in this section. And so you can see, I'll just click around on some different ones. You can see as I click on different ones, there are different pre-written notes that default for each one of the activities. And then you'll also notice that there's a little arrow right here, and that you can click on. And if there is a situation where there are multiple notes, multiple pre-written notes, and you don't want to use the default one, you can click in here, and that will you can select another pre-written note. The idea here with starting with a pre-written note is that that's less that you have to type. So you can see here that, for example, if I selected care plan, there are 3 pre-written notes, and so you could select any of those that you wanted to. And again, that's either going to cover the situation that you want to be covered, or it's at least going to get you started. Now, you can wipe this note out completely if you want to and just start over from scratch, or you can take the note that's pre-written and leave that in there, and then you can just go in and add some additional notes to the end. Anything that goes into the public notes area, that's going to show up in the final note that ultimately gets copied for documentation purposes over into your EHR. If you want to make some notes about an activity that you don't want to go into that part, so just something that would maybe that would just help you as far as remembering what you did or remembering what you need to do, for a particular patient, you can put those in the private notes section, and that will just be noted in ccmTrak, but it won't get copied over into the official record that gets done for billing purposes. So if I wanted to, put something in there, for example, if I called someone and they indicated something on the phone that I might want to remember next time I call this patient, maybe they can't hear very well and need to speak up, or whatever it may be. Also, and I'm not sure how much of this you guys are using up to this point, but we also have here on the screen a care checklist. And this is just a list of things that need to be done for a CCN patient over the course of the year. So let's say that while you were doing a specific activity, maybe making a phone call, talking to the patient, whatever it may be, that while you were doing that, you also did something that would need to be done on a regular basis for that patient. So let's say, for example, that while you were doing this particular chart review, that while you were at it, you also did an immunization review for that patient. So you can check that right here, and it's going to record that you did that on this particular date, which again is the current date that we have entered here. And then that will be flagged in here so that moving forward, when you look in here, you'll see, oh yeah, that was done on 7/18/2017. And if it doesn't need to be done for another year. And then this way, over time, if you have a certain list of things that you want to make sure that you cover with a CCN patient, over the course of the year, that you can do that from here. So if you do check off something here, then that's going to get recorded when we're done. If not, then nothing will change there. And so the next thing you want to do when you're happy with the minutes, happy with the notes, happy with who performed it, maybe put some other notes in, selecting some things here, is to save what you're doing. And so you guys are probably going to focus on either the done button here, which means I'm done with this patient for right now, or you can also click on new, which will save the current activity and then send you right back in for the same patient so that you can enter another activity. And again, the primary reason for having that available is just to save you guys a couple of clicks while you're entering your activity. So we'll say that we're done with this person for right now, so I'm just going to click that. That's going to take me back to the patient list page. And now you'll see that that activity has been recorded. And then you'll see here that there is an icon next to that. So if I needed to go in and make a change to it, maybe I looked at it and went, oh, actually I ended up spending 15 minutes on that. You can go back in here, make whatever changes you want to make. Again, click the done in the save area, and that will take you back, and you can see that that it updated the minutes to 15 minutes. Now from here, you can also schedule an activity. So perhaps while you were doing an activity, or maybe you're on the phone with a patient or whatever it may be, that you need to schedule something else to happen as a result of that. So you can click the schedule button here. It's going to take you to a very similar page that you saw before. List of activities is over here. Maybe what I needed to do here is I just need to follow up with a phone call to this patient maybe in a week. And so I can go up here and say, okay, next Tuesday at, around lunchtime, I'll want to call this person back. And maybe I can make a note here about why I'm calling this person back. I need to call and ask about their diabetes supplies. Maybe that's why you're going to call. You can put whatever reason that you want in there for that. Also, if you don't want to type the time in, there's a grid here for times that go between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. So you can click anywhere in here, and it will select that time for you. So you can see I could have just clicked 12, and that would have selected 12 for me. Once you're done with that, again, there's your care checklist, and actually you'll notice that it did record that we did that immunization review today, and that will be due again a year from now. So we can go ahead and click done, and that's going to again take me back to the patient list page, and now you'll see that what we have added in here is that phone call, which is scheduled for next Tuesday at 12 noon. And then also on your list of menu options up here at the top, there's a calendar. So you can go here and you can see what other activities that you have scheduled. You'll see that one scheduled for the 25th. But if you have any other ones that are scheduled, they'll show up on that page as well. And then when that rolls around, that phone call rolls around, once you do that phone call, you can click right here and it will actually take that phone call and convert it into an activity. So you can see that it will pull in the activity that you had selected, and it will pull in the date and then when that was supposed to happen. And then of course phone calls has a default minutes of 5 and a default public note right there. You can see it pulled your private note in as well. So when you actually make that phone call, if it's that simple, all you'd have to do is click that, and then you can click done, and it will actually record that activity as a phone call activity. And now you can see that that scheduled event is gone. So that kind of covers most of the information that you guys will need, at least from a logistics standpoint, for entering an activity and scheduling an activity. Now, Michelle, did you want to talk about the sign-off activities, or is that something you're going to be doing?
I'll be doing the sign-off activities. Can you talk about the dashboard, though, and show us what's available on the dashboard?
Yeah, absolutely. So over here on the dashboard now, are your folks going to be just assigned to a single provider, or will they be able to switch between providers, between doctors?
Most of them will be assigned to one provider.
Okay. So if you're just assigned to one provider, then these options under the dashboard here will not be available. If for some reason you happen to be assigned to 2 doctors, then you have the option of being able to display the dashboard for only one of the doctors or both of the doctors you're assigned to, and you just do that by selecting these options underneath the dashboard here. In this case, I'm logged in as Michelle, and she's assigned to all 3, so that's the reason that's showing up as it is. So there's a couple of things across the top here. You can see the number of patients that are active. You would be able to see any patients that are in the system that don't have a care plan yet. I think you guys are adding the patients as their care plans are ready, so probably that's not going to be a factor. This will show you a summary of any scheduled activities that you have. Of course, I cleared off that scheduled activity that we just did, but if you had any scheduled activities that were due today or before today, that count would show up here. If you had any that were scheduled in the future, they'd show up here, and you could click on those links. You'll notice that a lot of the things on the dashboard are underlined, and that means they're hyperlinked, which means that if you click on that particular thing, then it will show you a list of patients that match that particular criteria. Filters is something that you can set up if you have certain search criteria that you want to use on a regular basis. Like, for example, if you do a lot of work with patients that have a particular diagnosis, or maybe have something set up in their attributes, then you can set up a filter. And when you come to the dashboard, you can quickly get to the list of patients that match that filter, and I can certainly show you how to create a filter and how to do that if you'd like. Then the rest of this up here at the top is regarding sign-off, and if you guys are not going to actually do the sign-offs, then that's probably not going to be very useful to you. The next section down here is to show you patients, how many patients there are in each range of minutes. And of course, the goal here is for everybody that we get to at least 20 minutes, that is something that can be reimbursed. And so this will kind of give you a summary of that. So you can see that of the 14 patients that have been entered so far for this doctor, 5 of them have 0 to 4 minutes. Typically, if we do things in 5-minute increments, that means they have 0 minutes. Nobody in 5 to 9, nobody in 10 to 14, nobody in 15 to 19. There's 1 that's in the 20 to 24 range, and then there are 4 that have 30 to 39 minutes recorded this month, and 1 40 to 49 minutes this month. So this will kind of give you an idea. If it's getting toward the end of the month, and there's a lot of folks in this 15 to 19 range. It may be that there's something that can be done for them to take them over 20 minutes, also in that 10 to 14 range. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how many patients you have in each category. And so again, these are hyperlinks. So if you click the 4, that's going to show you the 4 patients that have between 35 and 40 minutes recorded. If you click on the 5, folks with 0 to 4, that's going to show you the 5 people that have 0 to 4 minutes recorded, and so on. You can also restrict what shows up in this area for either Medicare patients or Medicare Advantage patients. If you'd like to do that, that will give you the ability to just show those. Also, you can show all patients, patients that have already been signed off or not signed off. Again, if you guys are not going to be doing the sign-offs, and you guys will mostly be focusing on patients that are not signed off. This area down here, again, has to do with sign-offs, so that will kind of give you an idea of, kind of where the whole system is for the month as far as things that need to be signed off. These areas down here are just indicators of what kind of progress is being made for this particular, in this case, it would be for this particular doctor for the month. And so those are, I'm thinking probably most of what you guys would be using is if you have scheduled activities or if you have filters created. I can show you how to create a filter. We can come over here to the filters area, and let's say that I wanted to create a filter for just all of the people that are have an Alzheimer's diagnosis. So I might check those 2 off. I'm not sure if you have anybody in there right now that would match on this, but I may call that Alzheimer patients. I can create that, save that filter, and then when I go to the dashboard, while you're creating your filter, by the way, I can say to show the count on the dashboard, and if I click that, then now if I go back and save that, now if I go back to the dashboard, since I've checked to show it on the dashboard, now that will show on the dashboard. So this would show me all of the patients that I have in the system that that have that attribute of Alzheimer's, one of those attributes of Alzheimer's assigned to it. That probably was not a good example. So let me let's change that around and let's see. Maybe we have some. Oh, sorry about that. Maybe we have some diabetes patients in here somewhere. So I'll uncheck those, and we'll check some of these diabetic options here. You can check as many of these as you want to on the list, or as few. So we're just going to see if there are some down here at the bottom of this other column. You guys have a lot of diagnoses in here. Yeah, there were 2 down here at the other as well. So we'll do that. We're going to show that count on the dashboard, and we'll save that. And again, we go back to the dashboard. We still don't have anybody matching that criteria, but if you do, then that would show you the number. You can click right here. Oh, there it is, diabetes patients. I'm sorry. So we have 3 that have some sort of diabetes diagnosis. So if I click on that hyperlink right there, and that's just going to show me the people in the system that have one of those diabetes selections in their list of attributes. You can see that that person has one, that person has one, and that person has one. So if you were just going to do some particular activities on, just on a certain subgroup of people, you can use filters for that purpose. I guess that's probably about it for the dashboard. A lot of the stuff on the dashboard is used if you're sort of in a coordinator role. And so hopefully the filters and maybe the scheduled activities at the top will help you guys to be able to direct you to whatever it is that you need to do. Michelle, is there anything else that you can think of you'd like me to go over?
I think that's it. Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Yeah, you're very welcome. Let me